Bonds and Aaron Judge have the same amount of positive tests, correct? And he's like, obviously you don't know anything about baseball. I said, oh, okay, well then enlighten me, because clearly you know more about Barry Bonds than I know about Barry Bonds. You have proof that he tested positive on tests that nobody else in the world has ever seen. So please enlighten me, sir. And he keeps coming back, well, how many positive tests does Aaron Judge have? Well, 0, which is why I said he has just as many as Barry Bonds, which is 0. Oh, well, then obviously you never heard about the flaxseed oil, and you never heard about Balco. Well, yes, I have. And the flaxseed oil was something that him and his lawyers came to court with and said, look, he thought this was cream for arthritis, and he took the flaxseed oil. He admits to that. That's not a positive test. There was also a time where he gets implicated in Balco. That was people who got delivered supplements. That had nothing to do with the positive test. So again, Mr. Moron on Facebook, 0 positive tests plus 0 positive tests equals 0 positive tests. Mr. Moron on Facebook, who clearly knows more about baseball than I do. There are people that know more than baseball than I do. I fully admit that. You, sir, are not one of them. Mr. Idiot on Facebook. Take it away, Buck.
Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs. You know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA. We the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers. Go.
Sometimes, call me. You just gotta let the beat build. Get the people guessing about what's about to happen. What is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckheischer here with the Man Hour Show. Over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page and check out the blog section as well. We're starting an hour earlier tonight to give you guys some time to pregame for the show. Pregame for the Week 1 NFL season. Bills versus Rams getting underway here in just a couple minutes, a couple hours, or whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. Combsy, what's up, big guy? I messed up the intro. Oh, I already. Take it away. What's up?
Why'd your voice get so deep there? Your balls drop mid-sentence?
It's because I've been manscaping, Combs. And when you manscape, you instantly become a man. And you can use promo code MANHOUR to save yourself 20% plus free shipping. Can't go wrong with that, can you?
Absolutely not. And once you get that package, that Manscaped package, with the Manscaped 4.0 package,
yeah,
you get that thing, and you get the
this is the weed whacker
ball cream. But you that ball deodorant,
yeah,
that stuff. You put that in the palm of your hand. You rub that on your little nuggets. Those things get all nice and warm, and it's like, damn, I kind of want to put this on every night before bed.
Yeah,
you know,
it
a little bit of warmth
helps the chafing, and you know, when you get a nice clean shave, like what that Lawnmower 4.0 gives you, man. No
cold
nicks,
weather's coming. You're
yeah.
gonna have October, November, December, January coming up, and it's gonna be nice and cold. You're leaving in the morning for work. Put a little bit of that on your little nuggets, and you'll be nice and comfy all the way to work.
As the Longest Yard says, you always got to protect those McNuggets, man. You always got to protect them. So there you guys go. Combs, we make the best promos. We didn't plan that out at all. We're just picking up what I'm putting down, like bam, 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 boom, like live, raw, uncut, baby.
That's kind of what we do.
That is kind of what we do. That is why Ginger stick together. Combs.
That's also why we are the best damn sports radio show on the planet.
We are the best damn radio show on the planet. Also the best damn YouTube channel on the planet. Hit that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button, and of course, hit that bell icon. We're live 4 days a week. Fantasy Football Wednesdays was just yesterday. My man Tori Anderson dropped down some knowledge. He said start Knox, the tight end for the Buffalo Bills. He said Knoxville will have the highest point total this week in fantasy football.
So I've got a thing with Torrey right now. Okay. And this has nothing to do with him, bailing on the bachelor party at the Cubs game. Has nothing to do with him not being able to come to the wedding because he's going out of town. But this has everything to do with fantasy, right? Like his fantasy knowledge is really, really good. Like if you need to talk about who you're going to start, who you're going to sit, Torrey is somebody that you want to listen to try to win your matchup that week. By all means, Torrey is not the guy you want to go to try to names. And he's like, I'm the TJ Streetwalkers. Really? You throw your own name in your team name? Like I've got 2 teams that I've got named right now. I got like 11 teams that I own. But only 2 of them really have names because I like to come up with creative names. Yeah, I'm in too many fantasy leagues for sure. But I've got 2. One of them where Zach Wilson is my backup, so I am the Wilson's MILF Hunters. And the other one, Cooper Kupp, was my number 1 overall pick, so I am Cup my balls.
There you go.
See, those are actual cool names, right? Those are names you want to latch onto for fantasy, not the TJ Streetwalkers or the whatever he had, Back Alley Streetwalkers or something like that. It was another one that he used. So basically, you like hookers, is what you're saying. So basically, you and Deshaun Watson could be best friends.
100%.
You and Deshaun Watson are
They're
on
massage
the same
therapists,
page.
Combs. They're massage therapists.
Yeah, whatever. Same difference.
So, actually, Manscaped gave me the best fantasy name ever, CD's Nuts. Like, I got to even think about that one. That was freaking perfect. Manscaped 4.0,
I do have,
guys.
you know what? I have
Promo code
CD
Man Hour.
Lamb in my other one. That's what I'm going with.
CD's Nuts. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Changing it right now.
Changing right now. Speaking of
Changing it right now, right while we're on the air. I don't even care.
Speaking of C&D's nuts, Pittsburgh has named their starter, Combsy. Mitchell Trubisky has officially been named starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers come week 1. So way or no way here on this Thursday edition of Man Hour Sports Talk at youtube.com/Man Hour. Way or no way, the Pittsburgh Steelers made a mistake by naming Mitchell Trubisky week 1 starter.
So, this is a tricky one for me. So, I'm going to channel my inner Wayne G on this one. And I'm going to say kind of way on this one.
Because in the chat.
I don't know what Mitchell Trubisky is, right? Like, I've seen Mitchell Trubisky in a Bears uniform for 4 painful, excruciating years. I saw Mitch Trubisky in a Bears uniform. But I'm not 100% sold that wasn't all on the coach. There are all the rumors that came out after Mitchell Trubisky left about how he was handled by Matt Nagy really put Mitch Trubisky in a different light for me, right? Like maybe he needed a change of scenery. And he even said in an interview afterwards, after he left Buffalo, said, I needed to be in a place where I was wanted like Buffalo. I needed to learn from a coaching staff that wanted to teach me like I was taught in Buffalo. And those were his exact words, which says wonders about his time and tenure in Chicago. So I think he's in a good position. I think he's got one of the best coaches of all time at his side. And I think they're going to put him in every position to succeed. But I'm not 100% sold that Mitch Trubisky can lead you into the future. As a matter of fact, the Steelers weren't even sold. That's why they only gave him a 2-year deal and then went out and drafted Kenny Pickett. So I'm not sold that he can be that guy, but he can show me. And so that's why for me it's a kind of way, right? Like all 3 of their quarterbacks had really good preseasons. All 3 of them. And Kenny Pickett looks like he's going to be the real deal. So is the next 2 years or even just this season a highlight reel for Mitch Trubisky, a chance to showcase what he's got for other NFL teams that might be looking for a quarterback, like maybe the Miami Dolphins? those types of teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback next year, Seattle Seahawks, another team that rings a bell, looking for a quarterback of the future, maybe a guy can showcase what he's got, even though he knows that this is probably Kenny Pickett's team,
Right.
whether it be next year, the year after, or even halfway through this year. And it may not be because Mitch Trubisky is playing bad. Maybe he plays well and then gets injured. Kenny Pickett takes over and never relinquishes hold, right? But he can showcase, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whether it's all 17 weeks, he can showcase that he can be that guy. I don't think he's going to be that guy for the future in Pittsburgh because I think that that's Kenny Pickett. But he can be the guy for the future and can show that his tenure in Chicago was a debacle because the coaching staff was a debacle. And so that's why, for me, it's a kind of way. I don't know the answer to this until we get, I would say, probably 5 games into the season. I think by the 5th game of the season, I can tell you what Mitchell Trubisky is.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers made the correct call on this because I am never going to compare such and such player to said person, but Patrick Mahomes looked pretty good in the Chiefs preseason his first year as a rookie, right? He still sat the bench behind Alex Smith. Kenny Pickett did look pretty good, but he is going to sit this year behind Mr. Trubisky, learning how to be a pro. And I think Mike Tomlin is a good enough coach. He has sat down Mr. Trubisky saying, hey, you are our guy this year, but next year it is Kenny Pickett's team. So teach him, mold him, and we will get you in a good position moving forward, or we can put you as a backup and, you can win a couple of Super Bowls with this team right here, right now. Just because when we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Combs, you are exactly right. Mike Tomlin is hands down probably the best coach in the NFL right now. Never had a losing season. They went 9-7-1 last season, and this year, I don't see any different that they're going to have a losing season either. And Mr. Trubisky is the correct choice here because he is also the safe choice because they are literally a quarterback away. They are a game
what you're saying,
manager
but
away to make it to the playoffs.
I hear what you're saying, and I kind of like your analogy with the whole Mitch Trubisky and Patrick Mahomes thing. Like I like where you're kind of going with that. The difference is Alex Smith was already a proven playoff caliber quarterback.
Right.
Alex Smith was already a proven winner in this league, and Andy Reid was already a proven winner in this league. And so I think that there was already that chemistry there where he had the ability to sit. Now, fast forward now to Pittsburgh, where you have Kenny Pickett, who is sitting behind Mitch Trubisky, who's not proven to be a winning quarterback. He has gone to the playoffs twice. So you can argue that the defense took him there both times. But he is not a proven winning quarterback. He's on a shorter deal. And he's not the guy that you picked up, that you went out and got. Right? Like, he's not the guy that you are married to. You went out and signed him to a 2-year deal. You signed him to be a placeholder. And not only that, you also have a coach who's I think is a better coach than Andy Reid already.
I agree.
And he's never had a losing season. So if you start losing, I'm not so sure he's going to afford Kenny Pickett the same opportunity that Andy Reid afforded Patrick Mahomes, because I'm not so sure he wants to ever have a losing season. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know if there's not going to be a quicker hook for Mitch Trubisky than there was for Alex Smith. So that's where in that scenario, I think it's a little bit different, but I do like where you're going with it. Like I like the idea of, hey, let's sit for a year. Let's learn underneath a guy who's been in this league for 5-6 years now. Let's learn from him. Let's see what he's got. And let's give him a chance while you're learning. Let's give him a chance to showcase what he's got for other teams, because he deserves that at least.
Right. But also on the flip side of the coin, if we look back to Alex Smith's career or tenure with the Kansas City Chiefs, Combs, he was leading them to the playoffs 13-3, 10 and like they were consistently a really, really good team. He was arguably at the pinnacle of his career. So to say, hey, Patrick Mahomes is our guy, and then traded him to Washington, and obviously we know what happened. But I think Alex Smith could have been a Super Bowl winning quarterback at Washington, honestly, just because they had everything put together and everything was looking good. So do you possibly see Mitchell Trubisky kind of doing the same platform, going to a team like Washington that, their quarterback kind of things like, who are we going to do there, right?
Yeah, like Seattle, right? I mean, Seattle is that Washington type team, right? That team that's got a pretty decent wide receiver core, that's got a decent offensive line, and that's got a pretty decent defense. They're that team that is only a quarterback away, right? Like they are in the worst possible quarterback situation that I've ever seen.
Or they're in the best quarterback situation ever.
Well, it depends, because if you're talking about, hey, I want a top 2 or 3 pick in the next NFL draft, exactly. They are in the best quarterback situation of all time, right? But to have Geno Smith as your starter, when you have a guy that you traded away your franchise quarterback for, who a lot of people think is going to lead Denver to like the Super Bowl or something, which is stupid, by the way.
False.
But you traded your franchise quarterback for this guy, and yet Geno Smith, yes, Geno Smith, 1999 called, they want their quarterback back. Geno Smith is the guy that they are going with. Yes, they could use a Mitchell Trubisky, which is why I thought it made perfect sense. Before the season started, we talked about, I said, look, San Francisco does not need the Jimmy G drama. It's a good situation for San Francisco to have, because Jimmy G is the best quarterback, the best backup in the league right now. He's probably the 20th best quarterback, but he's the best backup in the league. And you're talking about what you could have done is sent Jimmy G to Pittsburgh, probably gotten Mitchell Trubisky plus some draft picks in return, and then flipped Mitchell Trubisky to Seattle for some more draft picks.
Yeah.
Like it made a ton of sense for all 3 teams involved to do this, and none of them did it. Maybe there was an attempt to do it. Maybe there was something. Maybe we're just dumb and we don't know what the hell we're talking about, which isn't the case. We're just smarter and we know football and we watch, and we're not bound by anything that is going to, cause us to lose draft picks. So we can talk about whoever we want going to whatever team.
Exactly.
But that to me made so much sense that I can't understand why it wasn't done. But Mitchell Trubisky to Seattle next season, because it won't be this season. Well, maybe it would be. Maybe by the trade deadline, they're like, hey, we're rolling with Kenny Pickett. Hey, Seattle, you want a quarterback? And maybe Mitchell, but in a full season with the Seattle Seahawks as currently constructed, Mitchell Trubisky goes to the playoffs with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, Jimmy G to the Seahawks, or I mean, like, honestly, you are exactly right. Jimmy G to the Steelers.
You don't trade Jimmy G inside the division.
Oh, no, because he is the best backup quarterback in the NFL right
as a starter,
now.
what? He's like top 20?
Oh, easily.
You know what I mean?
I probably put him top 15, honestly.
As a backup, he's clearly number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because he's better than some starters right now. He's better than Geno Smith.
Yeah. But if you think about this, let's think about this in a logical term here. Jimmy G to the Steelers, playoff team. Mr. Trubisky to the Seahawks, playoff team. The 49ers probably get 5-6 picks in return. Like, I mean, granted, they're all not
and
first, second round picks.
They're already a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, right. The 49ers are literally, I keep saying it back and forth. They're a play away of being a dynasty. Like, to be honest with you. So, I mean, how is that not a win-win-win for everybody? But Jimmy G to Seattle next season is probably going to happen. Let's just be honest about it. I mean,
let me ask you a question. If Trey Lance struggles, and I know we're going off on a different path here.
That's fine.
But if Trey Lance struggles in San Francisco, can you even have a hook to bring Jimmy G in?
how about this? When Trey Lance struggles, when does Jimmy G come on, man? As soon as Trey Lance loses 3 games in a row, just because the San Francisco 49ers are a playoff caliber team. They're a Super Bowl caliber team. They have the defense there.
I don't think Kyle Shanahan will let his ego do that. I don't think that's the problem. Like, I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think Trey Lance is going to struggle because I'm not sold that Trey Lance is what they're selling him to be. As a matter of fact, I think signing Jimmy G as a backup tells you that they're not as convinced as they were about Trey Lance. Exactly. And I think that the problem is going to show that maybe it wasn't a quarterback problem in San Francisco, but maybe it was a coaching problem in San Francisco. Maybe Kyle Shanahan isn't the right guy to lead that team. Maybe Kyle Shanahan isn't the coach that everybody thought he was. Maybe this isn't, like we said, Jimmy G is healthy. Jimmy G wins.
Yeah.
When he's on a healthy team with a healthy roster, he takes you to the Super Bowl, he takes you to the NFC title game, and you're there. So maybe this is a coaching issue. Maybe that's the reason why it's unsuccessful when they're not healthy per se.
Yeah, so I'm glad you kind of brought that point of like an ego. I mean, don't coaches have to check their egos at the door because you are there to put the best product on the field to win you championships?
But we've seen that these young coaches have a problem doing that. Matt Nagy could not check his ego anywhere, and that's why he doesn't have a job, right? Well, he has a job, but he's back on the sidelines with Kansas City again. Yeah. He is. and why? I mean, how fast does he go out the door if they struggle coming out the gate? And they've got a tough schedule coming out the gate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So how fast do they use Nagy as that scapegoat if they struggle and they start the season, 2-3 or 1-4 or something, and that offense is sputtering without Tyreek Hill? He might find himself out the door again and never have a job in the NFL again. He doesn't really deserve one, to be honest with you. I think he got back in because he's close with Andy Reid, but I just, there are coaches that have a problem checking their ego at the door. A couple of coaches have been able to do it. A couple of the young coaches have been able to do it. That's why the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl last year.
Well,
because Sean McVay checked his ego at the door.
Well,
Sean McVay went with a quarterback
to Super Bowl. I mean, let's just be honest.
Right, but Sean McVay went without that quarterback that I know they had Jared Goff, which I'm, again, not a believer in Jared Goff. I think he's going to be the reason why the Lions are 6-10 instead of 10-6 or 7-10 instead of 10-7 this year. I believe that Sean McVay checked his ego at the door and said, look, just give me a quarterback that knows how to win. And they went out and got a quarterback that knows how to win. And he didn't do much of it in Detroit because Detroit has a very tough time winning, which, by the way, I got on Luke G's podcast yesterday and started talking crap, and him and I were going back and forth about the Lions. We have a bet going. If the Bears finish better than the Lions, he's got to wear a Bears jersey and a Bears hat on his show. If the Lions do better than the Bears, I got to wear a Lions jersey and a Lions hat on our show. So we got a bet going. So check out Luke G's field review when you get a chance. He does great stuff there talking about the Lions. He's a Lions fan. I don't know why, but he's a Lions guy.
And he's part of Man Hour Sports Network too, so definitely support him.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't get, the love for Jared Goff, but I think what they did was they went out and they found that quarterback that knows how to win, and Sean McVay tailored his offense to fit Matt Stafford. Sean McVay's offense is tailored for a mobile quarterback. Matt Stafford is not that. He's a semi-mobile quarterback, right? Like, I mean, he could get you that 5 or 6 yards when he was
mobile 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah. He's not Lamar Jackson. Hell, he's not even Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like, he's not that type of mobile. So I think Sean McVay was able to do that, and that's why he won a Super Bowl. I don't think Kyle Shanahan has that in him. I think Kyle Shanahan will go down like a captain with a sinking ship. He's going to be on the Titanic, and he's going to be the band playing as the ship is sinking, because I don't think he gives Jimmy G a shot to be in, barring injury. That's going to be the only way.
Even
if Trey Lance gets injured, Jimmy G will be the quarterback. Right? Yeah, but they'll go with Jimmy G. He's going to be the backup. So if he gets injured, Jimmy G will come back in, and whatever, and the storyline will play itself out. But if there's no injury, if Trey Lance is healthy, San Francisco will go 3-13 with Trey Lance before they allow Jimmy G a chance to start a game.
So do you want to know the real reason why Kyle Shanahan wants Jimmy G out of town?
Slept with his sister or wife or
Jimmy G has been trying to get on his wife for a while now, or his girlfriend, because they are the same age, so they're hitting on the same hot girls, whatever, right?
Hey, I mean, I guess he doesn't want Zach Wilson anywhere near his team either. Then,
well, actually, he'd be perfectly fine with Zach Wilson because they are the same age, so he doesn't have to worry about hitting on his mom.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, but then he'd have to worry about his mom, though.
Right. I don't know.
You know.
Zach Wilson isn't going anywhere till next year when he goes to the Houston Texans. Moving on here.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson to the Texans?
Wouldn't surprise me if he fails this year.
Robert Saleh's like, here, go to die.
Joe Flacco was named Week 1 starter, so I mean I know he's quote injured, but
Zach Wilson's hurt.
Allegedly. Come on.
Well, I mean he needs time to. Plus, what he did was he had the wink with Robert Saleh. Say, hey, keep Jimmy G busy for a while. His wife's looking good.
All right, guys. So moving on. Speaking of hot wives, Patrick Mahomes says fantasy football owners need to beware because there will not be a number one receiver featured every week repetitively in Kansas City. So Combs, way or no way, Patrick Mahomes is simply blowing smoke up our butts to kind of, not put too much pressure on the Chiefs this year.
Repeat that to me one more time, Buck. I want to hear you say it again.
Patrick Mahomes says that there will not be a number one featured receiver every week repetitively. So each week there will be a different receiver featured in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Is he just blowing smoke up our ass?
I wanted you to repeat that because it sounds vaguely familiar to me, doesn't it? It sounds to me like the Chiefs are going to be missing Tyreek Hill. It seems to me like that Tyreek Hill loss is going to cause a lot of issues for the Kansas City Chiefs because he also knows that now Travis Kelce is going to be double teamed. And now he's going to have to rely on his wide receiver core, which is not very good.
Oh, my God. You shut your whorish mouth.
It's not. Who's your number one wide receiver, Buck?
I'm going to go with
Travis
Juju.
Kelce, right?
Yeah. Well, Travis Kelce is probably the number one, but after that, it's going to be Juju.
Juju Smith-Schuster, the guy who has not been good
since
with
Antonio
a Hall of
Brown.
Fame quarterback since Antonio Brown left, and he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Okay,
right.
Cannot be a number one wide receiver. He's proven that year in and year out since Antonio Brown left.
He cannot, which he will not be a number one receiver in Kansas City. But
you just said he was going to be your number one
after
receiver.
Travis Kelce, right?
But Travis Kelce is going to be double teamed the entire time,
right?
You're going to make everybody else beat you. You're not going to let Travis Kelce.
So the reason why Juju wasn't effective when Antonio Brown was because he was being double teamed, right? Now he's going to have single coverage.
No, because they had weapons, man. They had
who they
had weapons.
Who?
What do you mean? They had Chase Claypool last year. Even
last year. And
okay,
Juju,
so what was Juju last year? He's a Chief now, so he wasn't very good.
No, Juju was double team, and Chase Claypool came about.
Stop.
No, it's facts.
Look, Juju Smith. No, it's not facts. You're just being a homer, like our guy over there. Mr. Luke G. When he says that the Lions are going to be a 10-7 team, you're just being a homer and you're not being very realistic. You want this to work in Kansas City, but it's not going to work in Kansas City. I am telling you, you're at the end of the season, you're going to be like, you know what, Combs, you were right. You were right. It might not even take the whole season for you to do it. You might just say it halfway through the season. You might even say it by week 6 when they're like 2-4 or 1-5. You might say, you know what, Combs, you were right, man. Tyreek Hill was a bigger loss than I thought.
That says never, Combs.
Okay. All right. I'm telling you, we're going to have this conversation again. I want you to clip this. I want you to put it up on our YouTube channel. I want it to get thousands and thousands of views. And I want people to remind us when they realize that I am right about the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. They are the third best team in that division.
Well, you're
Third best team in that division.
absolutely wrong. Just because of the fact, like, this is way Patrick Mahomes is exactly right. Just because we have probably 4, if not 5, number 1 receivers on this team, hands down. So once you start to double team Juju, hey, let's go over to MVS. Once you start to double team MVS, hey, you know what? Isaiah Pacheco will come in. He is our Tyreek Hill Jr. here. He has been lined up in the slot and the backfield. He's been doing a jack of all of all trades. Oh, you start to double team him. McCole Hardman.
You just named 2 wide receivers on 2 teams that desperately need wide receivers because they lost their number 1s that
Okay.
still let these guys walk because they weren't good enough to carry the load.
Okay. That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
So basically what you're saying, one man's trash, another man's treasure, huh?
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes
okay.
makes receivers better. We've seen it with Tyreek Hill, made him a top 5 receiver in the NFL.
He makes them better than Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh,
Fuck.
yes.
You're gonna
hands
put that.
down.
You're gonna put that on. He's been in the league for 4 years now. You're gonna put this on him going into his 5th year that he is better than a guy who has won 2 Super Bowls
Yes.
and is a Hall of Fame, no doubt, quarterback.
Okay, so we are talking about Ben Roethlisberger the last couple seasons, the guy that couldn't
You
even
should go
see
work
over
for
his belly.
ESPN.
Like, do you understand Ben Roethlisberger couldn't see his toes, like, toward the last part of his career because he was so fat and, like, out of shape? Like,
I haven't seen my toes in like 4 years.
Well, that's because you're 5'2" and you have a beer gut that's like 8 foot tall. But that's besides the point. Ben
5'9", Dick.
Oh, whatever. Ben Roethlisberger is a professional athlete. He literally could not, like, waddle out of the pocket. Patrick Mahomes is going to extend that pocket like he does every time, and he is going to hit Juju one week. He is going to hit MVS the next week, and then you got McCole Hardman. Oh, Travis Kelce is going to pop out. Hey, let's not forget our draft pick Sky Moore. Watch out for him, and it gets even better. How about this? How about 2 backup running backs that probably won't see the ball running the ball a lot, but they'll see the ball a lot in the receiving aspect. Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. Those 2 guys are freaking beast, Combs. There is a reason
Neither one
why
of those are your number 1 running back.
it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which a number 1 pick from last season. And who was the number 1 running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season, Combs? Rojo, right? Rojo, the number 1 running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is 4th on the roster. He is on the verge of getting cut if he messes up one time. Like, come on. The Chiefs are loaded and they'll be perfectly fine. Patrick Mahomes is spot on.
Buck. Patrick Mahomes went for a desperate attempt to be like, hey, you don't know who to game plan for 1 week to the next. I could throw to this guy. I could throw to that guy.
He can.
The problem is it was a failed attempt because nobody is worried about any of those guys beating them. Nobody cares. Nobody's like, oh, my God, we might have to game plan for Juju. Or maybe we have to game plan for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. No. You game plan to take away Travis Kelce, and you dare those other guys to beat you because they're not going to do it. They've proven year in and year out over the last 4 seasons with their respective teams that they are not those guys. That's why their teams let them go. If they were those guys, their teams wouldn't have let them walk.
It's all about money at the end of the day, Combs. They let them walk. Now, Juju, I could see letting him walk, right? Last year he was injury prone, and the year before that he just had a really bad season. Well, when you get triple teamed, you're going to have a bad season, right? With a quarterback that can't throw it 10 yards down the field. That is why Hollywood
That's why
Hollywood Brown
Miami's going to have a bad season.
Who?
I said that's why Miami's going to have such a bad season.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, look for McCole Hardman to have a great season. If you have a fantasy waiver guide and you have picked up McCole Hardman, pick his ass up because he is going to get the ball a lot this year.
All right, another off-topic question. Let me ask you, is this a stupid rule in fantasy or is this not a stupid rule in fantasy? You can't make any transactions until after week 1.
That is a stupid rule because
I think so too.
Are you playing ESPN? Because in Yahoo, I just
Nope.
picked up McCole Hardman off the waiver wire.
This is actually in my big money league. We actually use Flea Flicker. But the league has the rule, and it's my first year playing in this league. It's a good league, good group of guys. but I think that this rule is stupid. So, and I'm new to it, and I heard about the rule, but I didn't think about it when I was doing it because I was going through my lineup, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I drafted because I drafted Hopkins, and he's suspended for the first 7 weeks. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna put him on an IR, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick up Julio Jones just to sit on my bench, and maybe he gets hot and maybe I could use him. And I get a $10 fine because I made a waiver wire transaction prior to week 1 being finished. You have to wait till week 1's over before you can make any transactions. And I'm like, I mean, that's the dumbest rule I ever heard of. I said, It's a stupid rule. They're like, it's only stupid because you can't follow rules. I said, no, it's stupid because it's stupid. I'll pay the $10 because it's stupid, and I'll put Julio Jones back, into the waiver wire, but it's a stupid rule.
It's definitely stupid. What if your quarterback got hurt, Thursday before the game?
Can't make any transaction. If the kicker gets hurt, if the quarterback gets hurt, if your defense decides whatever, if the game gets postponed, can't pick up a defense. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't make any transactions week 1. And it's funny that one of the guys, I guess a couple years back, made his draft pick, and then they were picking during the preseason was still going on. During one of the preseason games was their draft. He drafted the guy, and then on the very next play, the guy broke his leg.
Jesus.
Imagine being in the draft live,
stupid rule.
picking the guy and be like, oh yeah, watch this, watch my guy, what he's gonna. Oh, son of a.
Yeah, that is a stupid rule, Combs. I got to confirm with you on that. Yeah, that is definitely not the smartest rule ever. But speaking of smart here, Combs, the NFL scheduled the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1 again here in the 2022 NFL season. And last season, it was a pretty good game. Dak threw for 1,000 yards. Tom Brady threw for another 1,000 yards as well. Obviously, the Bucs are pretty dangerous with Tom Brady at the helm. The Cowboys are Super Bowl favorites as always. So, Combs, way or no way, Dak Prescott has to throw for 400-plus yards in this Week 1 matchup for the Dallas Cowboys to win this game.
No way. And here's why. I'm not going to put all of it on Dak anymore. I'm not. Dak does not need to be Superman for this team to win. What they need to do is they need to get their running back that they highly overpaid. They need to get him moving. He needs to carry his load. He needs to produce and be the Ezekiel Elliott soup-eating, whatever that he was prior to getting his big deal. It is Ezekiel Elliott's turn to shell out because Dak has already shown me what he is. And what he is right now is a top 10 quarterback in this league. Dak Prescott is a stud. And Dak Prescott can carry the Dallas Cowboys. But if the Dallas Cowboys want to take that next step, Zeke needs to show up. Zeke needs to show out. It can't be Tony Pollard, which I think is going to be the deal. I think Tony Pollard is going to be the starting running back for this team by week 4. I think he's going to be the number 1 producing running back on this team. I think he's going to be a top 5 producing running back in this league because I don't think Zeke has it in him. I think Zeke got over, but he got his money and he went missing. And I think he's done as a running back. I don't think Zeke is that guy. Zeke needs to show up, and Zeke needs to show up for the Dallas Cowboys to take that next step.
Yeah, so the only way Zeke can show up is if Mike McCarthy decides to actually run the ball, Combs. Because I actually just talked about Tori about this on the Fantasy Football Show on the Wednesday edition of the Man Hour. And Tori said he can literally tell you every play that Mike McCarthy is going to run before Tony Romo or Chris Collinsworth or like anybody else can like call it, just because it is so predictable. And what is predictable is they're going to throw the ball 50, 60 times in this game, and Zeke's going to touch the ball maybe 10 times tops, and Tony Pollard with maybe 2 or 3 touches just like as well. So the answer to the question is like, yes, Dak Prescott has to throw for 400-plus yards with the 70% completion percentage for the Cowboys to have a chance, because the Bucs, for some reason, people are kind of underestimating the Bucs like a little bit, Combs, but their defense is still pretty damn good.
Didn't we talk about this earlier? A coach checking his ego at the door.
Yep.
It might be time for Mike McCarthy to do that, right? Because
yeah.
Your highest paid player on your offense is your running back.
Right. And you're not
and if you're not going to use him, that's a problem. But when they did try to use him last year, he wasn't productive. He wasn't effective. You've got to be effective. You know who was effective last year when they used him? And you can't even say, well, they didn't use him enough. He didn't get time to get in there and get into the groove. Well, Tony Pollard didn't have a problem with that. That's why we know who Tony Pollard is, because Tony Pollard took the opportunity and he ran with it and he produced. Zeke needs to do the same thing. When he's called on, he needs to produce. And he did not do that last year. He was terrible. I mean, terrible last year.
So you are correct, but there are some players that need to get into the groove of the game before they actually start to produce, right? Just as like I have a kid on my team, like he has to get popped in the mouth. He has to get his ass ran over before he starts playing like the man that just like he is. Like I was the same way when I played in the CFL, Combs. Like I had to run down on kickoff and get popped in the mouth before I was ready to play on the defensive side. Off the ball. It takes a special person to come off the bench and be able to produce like Tony Pollard has for the Dallas Cowboys. Zeke has to get in that groove. He has to get the 5, 6, 7 touches in a row, to really get in the groove of the game. Kind of like a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan, right? You never saw those guys come off the bench because they couldn't. They can't come off the bench. Yes, they are the GOATs, but at the same time, they cannot come off the bench and produce.
I mean, look, we sit here and we're talking. I'm doing the numbers right now because I just looked it up. So give me 1 second here. Let me pull this number up. So he touches the ball on average every year 275 times.
Right.
He touched the ball 237 times last year.
That's catches and rushing the ball, or just rushing?
No, that's just rushing attempts.
Okay.
275 rushing attempts a year.
Right.
And last year he had 237. It wasn't that much less.
Actually, if you could take that into consideration, that's an extra game. So 237 divided by 17, that's 13 touches a game. He needs 20.
But yeah, right. But that's what I'm saying. Like you're talking about 13 touches. That's his average every year. It hasn't just changed because of Mike McCarthy. Maybe he's just not a durable back. I mean, I'll give it to you. He still did rush for 1,000 yards last year.
Right.
He did. So, but he just wasn't Zeke. He wasn't effective. He wasn't that same stats, like get in the end zone type guy. Like he just, that wasn't Zeke last year. Or maybe we just didn't watch enough Cowboys football to really notice. Maybe it was just because the Cowboys were so bad defensively that we didn't notice what Zeke actually was.
Right. Well,
maybe I'm wrong because I'm looking at the numbers right now, and the numbers are kind of proving me wrong. Right. He was 7th in attempts, 7th in yards, tied for 6th in touchdowns. He was 28th in his average yards per game.
But that's also was his lowest of his career, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What's that?
Those yards from last season, all those stats from last season, those are lowest of his career.
He had 979 yards on 244 carries in 2020. He had 983 yards for 242 carries in 2017.
Okay.
He had 300 carries in 2018, 300 carries in 2019. Those were his career highs.
Okay. So when you say those attempts, so 273 attempts like the previous year to 243, right?
And his 10 touchdowns were the 3rd highest of his career.
Right. But you have to take into consideration as well those 30 less attempts also had 1 extra game in the NFL season. So he was even touching the ball even less last season than he was in previous seasons. Yeah.
By looking at those numbers, it kind of, when you look at it that way, once those numbers are presented to you, is it the same thing we were talking about with San Francisco? Do we have more of a coaching problem than we do a player problem?
Well, when you have arguably a top 5, if not the best running back in the NFL in Zeke, and you have Tony Pollard, he's probably top 20, isn't he? I mean, he's a pretty good back. Like, I mean, he could probably.
You should be running a 2-back system. Tony, look, Ezekiel Elliott is the equivalent of Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield. He can make you miss. and he can run for a lot of yards.
Right.
Tony Pollard is the equivalent of like a I'm trying to think of a really good he's
Kareem
like
Hunt,
a
Nick Chubb, those type of guys.
no, I'm trying to think of a guy who comes out of the backfield. CMC comes out of the backfield a lot, but catches a lot of passes.
Right.
Right. Like a guy who could gain a ton of yards. Like that's Tony. So you have Alvin Kamara and CMC in your backfield, and you're not utilizing your running backs.
Yeah.
Like you're putting way too much on Dak Prescott. Like I'm starting to I'm changing my tune a little bit. I'm changing my tune. It's not Zeke. It's Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Mike McCarthy hire for the Dallas Cowboys was arguably the stupidest hire ever, just because like at that time, you just signed Zeke to that $103 million deal, right? And you brought in a pass happy coach.
Well, but he utilizes him just about as much as he's been utilized his entire career. I mean, it's not much. I mean, you're talking about one game less. So let's say he takes them out of one game a year. Okay. But he's still utilizing him. But Zeke's still, from what I'm looking at, Zeke's still producing 5.1 average yards his rookie year, 4.1, 4.7, 4.5, 4.0 in 2020, and 4.2 in 2022 for his average yards per attempt.
Well, I'm just saying you need to utilize Zeke more. You're paying him $100 million to touch the ball 13 times a game.
He should touch the ball. He should touch the ball 25 to 30 times a game.
Exactly. Well, like 30 is a bit excessive because you do have Tony Pollard in there. That's a well.
If you have him touch the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and you put Pollard in the rest of the time, and you count, you're going to take so much pressure off of Dak. Your offense is going to be so much more balanced and so much more effective.
How about this? Let's not even look at the offensive side of things. Let's just look at the defensive side of the things. Your defense is going to be so much better because you're well rested. You aren't on the field for 30 minutes a game, 40 minutes a game, right? Like you're just getting wore out. And Trayvon Diggs can, stop getting beat deep. So, I mean, this is like, if you run the ball, it is a better all around for everybody. Just not the well-balanced offense, but the defensive side as well. It is a win-win-win, and it's its recipe for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, I've never. It's been a long time since I've been like, you know what? I'm so sure about this with the Zeke thing, and then I look at the numbers and I'm like, damn, man, you know what? I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And that happened to me before with Zeke too. Actually, I was like, nah, Zeke's not a top 5 running back, and then I look at him like, wait a minute, he's been the top 3 in his last 5 seasons. I need to stop counting out Zeke.
Zeke is the type of player that kind of sneakily is like, damn, he has 1,000 yards. Damn, he has 1,500 yards. It's because the Dak Prescott gets
and he's
so
in the
much
top
press.
10.
Right, yeah. Because Dak
he's
Prescott
in the top
does
10 in all of his numbers every year.
Yeah, which is
crazy. And
Dak, right?
But Dak Prescott's the quarterback, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the position that sells, right? Running backs are a dime a dozen. As you can say, people are already clamoring for Tony Pollard. I love Tony Pollard. I think I took him in like 10 out of my 11 leagues that I'm in.
I did.
Like, I like Tony Pollard a lot. I think he's going to do a lot of damage, and I was able to get him late in rounds too, which is crazy to me. But I like what Tony Pollard can do. But all these weapons that Dallas has, and the Eagles are still going to win this division.
Maybe, even though you're wrong, but maybe. Speaking of winning the division, the Atlanta Falcons definitely did not win the division last year, Combs. They went 7-10 last season. However, Marcus Mariota has been named starter down there in the dirty South, in the Dirty Birds ATL. So, way or no way, Combs, the Atlanta Falcons made a mistake by naming Marcus Mariota starter.
Man, I'm going to say way, just because I don't think Marcus Mariota is that guy. Who's their backup?
Desmond Ridder, the rookie that they drafted.
So you know what? I'm gonna change it. Mid flight. I'm gonna waffle. # waffle in the comments. I'm gonna say no way. you've got to give Ritter time to material. Ritter is one of those projects. He's going to be a guy that is, look, he's 3-4 seasons away from being able to be a starter in this league. Marcus Mariota is a guy who has been a starter. He performed well with the Raiders while he was there. I know the coaching staff in Vegas loved him. John Gruden especially loved Marcus Mariota. I'm not a believer in Marcus Mariota. I'm not a believer in the Falcons either. I think that whichever way you went, Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ritter, I believe you're a 3-14 football club. And to me, that's what the Atlanta Falcons are, no matter who's at the helm, short of Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. And even then, I think maybe they're a 5-win team. I'm not a big believer in what they're doing. And so I'm going to say it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go with no way here.
So if it doesn't really matter, either way, they're a 3-win team, right? So why do you want to put a 7-8 year player in that quarterback when you can start a rookie and take his lumps now, right?
Same way you allow Mitch Trubisky.
What's that?
Same way you allow Mitch Trubisky. You allow him to showcase his talents for another team that he's going to play for once Desmond Ritter takes over.
I traded for Marcus Mariota, though. I wanted Marcus Mariota to come to Atlanta. I wanted him. And then I drafted a quarterback behind him for whatever reason. Atlanta Falcons fans.
Did they get him in the 7th round, though?
What, Marcus Mariota?
They got him cheap. Yeah, no.
Desmond Ritter? He was like a third round pick. But I think he's the second quarterback off the board, though. But I think he is going to do well in Atlanta. So why not let him take his lumps, his growing pains this season, Combs? Let him be a bad quarterback now when you are going to have a bad team, right? Next year when your gambling man comes back, Kyle Pitts has another year under his belt. You have another top draft pick, maybe build that defense up a little bit more. Kyle Pitts already has that growing pains under him, or not Kyle Pitts, Desmond Ritter. I mean, Atlanta Falcons made a huge mistake by starting this quarterback in Marcus Mariota. He was replaced by Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, Combs. You hate Ryan Tannehill, right? Then he went to Vegas. He could never start over Derek Carr, and the Raiders wanted
a top 10 quarterback.
But if you look at it, the Raiders always wanted to trade Derek Carr over and over and over again, but they could never get the job done or the right draft picks or whatever, right? But Marcus Mariota was a backup. I think he saw the field maybe twice, maybe 3 times in his whole time in Las Vegas. And that was because Derek Carr broke his leg, I think, at the very, very tail end of 2018 season. I think it was 2019. Let's face it, Marcus Mariota is not a very good quarterback. Falcons are not going to be a very good team. Give the rookie a chance.
I think you trade for Marcus Mariota and then you draft a quarterback behind him because this reason, right? And you let him start over Desmond Ritter. 1, because Desmond Ritter is not ready, but 2, because you can have a quick hook with him. You can have a 6 or 7 game hook with him and then still let Ritter come in and take his lumps and be that guy. But at least you gave Mariota the opportunity to succeed. And if he succeeds, great, right? Because then you're winning games that you shouldn't be winning, or at least you're in the games that you're losing. You know what I mean? You're not getting blown out. But if he fails, all right, cool. We took a chance. It didn't work out. Now we give Desmond Ritter a shot. If that doesn't work out 7 games through the season, if you don't see the things that you need to see from Desmond Ritter, you're still getting a top 3 pick, and you can still go out and get another quarterback in the first round. This time, a much better pick than what Desmond Ritter is going to be. I like Desmond Ritter. I watched him a lot in college. I don't believe he's an NFL quarterback. I didn't think it when I watched him at Cincinnati. I don't think Desmond Ritter is the guy, but give him the opportunity, see what he does with it. Let him prove everybody wrong. There's a couple quarterbacks that have proved me wrong. I was not a big believer in oh God, what's his name from Arizona? Why can't I think of his name?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Trash.
I was not a big believer in Kyler Murray, but he changed my mind over the last 3 years. And you're an idiot. He changed my mind over the last 3 years. And watching him grow and watching him what he's doing with Arizona, I'm a believer now in Kyler Murray. And Desmond Ridder can do the same thing, but he's one of those guys that's going to have to show me. You know what I mean? Like nobody was a believer. Who was a believer in other than Kansas City? Who was a believer in Patrick Mahomes coming out of college? He was a losing quarterback in college.
He was
Everybody scoffed. Everybody scoffed at that pick at 7.
Yep.
Right? Because I was like, well, what are you doing? Because there was somebody else that was left on the board when he was picked. Was it Josh Allen?
I don't believe so. I think Patrick Mahomes was drafted after Mitchell Trubisky and Josh Allen.
No, it was Mitchell Trubisky and Deshaun Watson.
Right. Well, Josh Allen
and
was
then
drafted before. Yeah, because the Chiefs were like 17th pick, I think it was, or something.
No, they were 7. It was 7 overall.
No, they could have been that.
Yeah, because the Bears picked at 2. They took a quarterback. Then right behind them, the Texans picked at 3. Yeah,
quarterback.
Don't even remind me.
Here,
don't even remind me.
I'm pulling up right here on the Man Hour website here because I got the old. So he was the 10th overall pick. I'm sorry, in 2017.
Okay, and where did Josh Allen go? Who was picked after? There was a quarterback picked after him, and everybody was scoffing at the Patrick Mahomes pick. They're like, yeah, this guy could be a good quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Nobody expected him to be what he was. Nobody knew what he was going to be.
So
it was
Josh
one
Allen
of those
was drafted 7th.
Okay. So Josh Allen did go before him?
Yeah. Was that the year that Lamar Jackson was drafted too?
I believe so.
So
maybe it was
the,
Lamar that went after him.
Yeah, he was the 32nd pick. He was the last pick of the first round. So
yeah. So and that's what I'm saying. Like you can pick somebody in the top 3. It's not a very deep quarterback draft again, but you can find that quarterback in the top 3 picks to lead you into the future if Mariota fails, which he probably will.
He will.
And if Desmond Ridder fails, which he probably will.
So the quarterback that the future is already on the roster, Combs. You know this. The guy from Arkansas, Felipe Franks, man. Felipe Franks, man. Give that man a shot.
Felipe Franks is going to be doing what his name says he's going to be doing. He's going to be
flipping in the end zone, baby.
He's going to be flipping Franks in the concession stands on game day.
Now, you're absolutely wrong on that. Absolutely wrong. Just like you're wrong about Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson is the future in Miami.
Who the hell is Skylar Thompson?
The man from Kansas State University, 7th overall pick, the next Tom Brady. Mark it down, Colmsy. Mark it down. All right, guys. So
I marked it down. I wrote down Buck is an idiot.
All right. At 9/8/2022 at 8:50 at night. Congratulations.
Okay.
So, Combs, we are going doing a new little segment here. Basically, I'm going to give you 4 teams here, and basically, you got to tell me the answer. It's a if and then with a little bit of twist, right? So,
okay,
we are going to start with your Chicago Bears because you are Chicago Bears fan. I see all the merchandise and in the backfield. So, the Chicago Bears this season will be a success if this, Combs.
If you see growth from Justin Fields, then the Bears season is a success. It's not going to be measured on wins this year. It can't be measured on wins this year. You didn't build a team that is ready to win. Now, if you win, then it's beyond your wildest dreams, right? Like if you're a playoff caliber team, it's beyond your wildest dreams. Now, I said they're better than what people thought they were. I think they're a 7 to 8 win team. I think that this team is going to be better than the 4 or 5 wins that everybody's predicting them to be a top 5 draft pick. I think they're better than that. I like their defense. They still got some defensive pieces in place with Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, Robert Quinn. They've got those guys in place. They've got a solid core. And if you see the growth from Justin Fields, if you see that franchise quarterback come out in him, then it's a win. Regardless of what your win-loss total is, this is a successful season if Justin Fields grows as a quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on exactly what you said there. The Chicago Bears season will be success if we do not see Trevor Siemian take a snap for the Chicago Bears this season. Because if we do not see the backup quarterback Trevor Siemian take a snap this season, that means Justin Fields is doing good things in Chicago. That means Byron Pringle is eating. Darnell Mooney is eating. Who is their running back? David Montgomery, right? Yeah, I mean, those guys are...
Khalil Herbert, too. Don't sleep on Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, so if we do not see Trevor Siemian this season, the Chicago Bears season is a success. But, Combs, I'm a little bit with you on this bandwagon, and... 7, 8, 9 wins may not be out of the reach, to be honest with you, because their schedule is easy, right?
Yeah, it's
Hey,
it's
Michelle, I
definitely
see you in the
easy.
background, girl.
I know. I was just laughing because she snuck by, and I'm like, you could totally see her in the reflection of the Fields jersey,
Right?
But
Glad she was dressed.
She said, "Good thing I had my shirt on."
Right, there you go.
But no, look, Justin Fields, to me, you can see growth without wins, right? You don't have to be measured in your win-loss total, right? Because that's a team stat. But making you see the right reads, not doing that stupid jump pass that you were trying to do last year because you're trying to make too many things happen and they weren't calling plays that were suited to you. This year, you don't have that problem. You got an offensive play caller in Luke Getsy, who is a known winner coming from Green Bay. They've done great things with their offense over the last 15 years. They've only won one Super Bowl, and they lose every year in the NFC title game, just to point that out. But Bears fans would be elated to get to one Super Bowl and lose every year in the NFC title game. So Luke Getsy coming on board is going to give Justin Fields, like we just talked about, he's going to give Justin Fields every opportunity to succeed.
Right.
And you want to see the right reads. You want to see him making smart plays. You want to see him checking down. You want to see him only taking off when he needs to, not taking hits that he doesn't need to, which he's another guy. This guy will be halfway through a slide and just take a massive hit and no flags go up. It drives me nuts. The referees are going to have to do a better job of protecting quarterbacks.
Is that the black quarterback effect?
I don't think it's that. I think it's the second-year quarterback effect, the rookie quarterback effect.
How about the
I think it's a guy who hasn't garnered the respect. No, because you'll see those flags come out on Mahomes. You'll see those flags come out on Josh Allen, right? Because they've earned it, right?
Right.
Justin Fields hasn't earned it yet.
Right.
And so they've got to start getting better at that. The refs do at flagging those, because I saw Justin Fields take way too many of that, which is why I really love, and I know he's had his issues, but I really love the guard that we took in the draft last year, because when he was out on the field, and I can't think of his damn name. I'm so bad with names off the cuff, but I really love him because he's a different guy on the field, right? They talk about him all the time. They say he's a different guy on the field than he is off the field. And when he's on the field, he's got this mean streak. He's one of those guys that just runs wild, and he's just angry and he's mean. And that's a guy that you have to channel. And that was the thing on him coming out of college, right? Like you have to, Tevin Jenkins is his name, by the way. You have to bring that mean streak out of him. And then they go and they back that up by getting Alex Leatherwood. So I like what the Bears have done around Justin Fields. They backed up Cole Kmet with Ryan Griffin. They got Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle. They went out and drafted Velus Jones. They got Equanimeous St. Brown, Dante Pettis. They've got these guys. And then I know we got her, but they went out and got N'Keal Harry. But they got guys who are speed guys who can run crisp routes, right, guys who are tailored for Justin Fields. Now, they're not the flashy names, but they're the guys that Justin Fields needed to be successful. And that's why I like what the Bears did this offseason. That's why I think the Bears are better than what people are giving them credit for. And that's why Luke G is going to be wearing a Bears jersey on his show at the end of the season.
So on the bad side of that, the Bears are starting 3 offensive linemen this season too. So, I mean, it's kind of give and take, right? You got all those skilled players, but a young offensive of
15 rookies on a 53-man roster.
That's kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie.
That's got to be a record, right? Like that's got to be. It's definitely probably the most in the NFL
with a second-year quarterback. So
with a second-year quarterback and a first-year head coach.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so Combs, the next statement of the night, the next team of the night that we have here are the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Kansas City Chiefs success season will be a success if
Patrick Mahomes is the future Hall of Famer that everybody has boasted about. If Patrick Mahomes can rise above losing Tyreek Hill and having his number one weapon after Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce double teamed and having subpar wide receivers be successful like Aaron Rodgers has done, like Tom Brady has done, then the Kansas City Chiefs season will be successful. I'm hesitant. Like I sent you my picks earlier today. I got my picks for all the divisions. I've got Kansas City third in this division. I've been saying it for a while. The Chargers and the Raiders are better than the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers and the Raiders are built to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and more importantly, they're built to slow down Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have one of those seasons. Now, look, I think I still had them having a winning season. I just didn't have them. I didn't have them being as good as the Chargers or the Raiders. You know what I mean? Being the third best team in the division, where the top two teams are winning 13 and 12 games, and you're still winning 10. Like that's still a pretty damn good season, right? If I'm as a Bears fan, I'll take a 10-7 season this year.
And they have the hardest schedule in the NFL. I mean,
it's brutal. It's a gauntlet, man. It is so tough what they're about to go through after losing Tyreek Hill, which again, I can't stress that enough. That was a huge loss for your Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, so I am going to piggyback on you again a little bit here, but kind of change it a tad bit here. So the Kansas City Chiefs season will be deemed a success if the rookies grow the way they should, meaning Sky Moore, Isaiah, right? All those names, if they can be molded into the player that Tyreek Hill was, if they can take shape in that Kansas City offense and be successful for years to come. Just because, like I believe you said it, Combs, many, many times, when we get a deal like Patrick Mahomes has, you have to build in the draft. You have to build through free agency. You have to be able to, do those things well and mold those players into the players that you want them to be. So this year is a true proving ground for the Kansas City Chiefs because they did lose a dominant receiver in Tyreek Hill, and then they drafted two or three players to replace that. So we'll see how good they are in the draft room. So this season will be deemed a success if those guys, aka Sky Moore, does do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to put on some rookies, man. It's a lot of weight. And it's also a lot of weight to put on your quarterback who, look, again, if you're the future Hall of Famer that ESPN has built you up to be, if you're that guy, then you can make these rookies those guys that Buck was just talking about. I've just got to see it happen. For the same thing with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like I said before, I think Aaron Rodgers has to show me he can do it without the extremely talented cast that he's been blessed with his entire career. And still only one Super Bowl and a lot of NFC losses to talk about. So 11-10 in the postseason, by the way. 11-10 is his record.
You are going straight to the throat there.
1-4 in the NFC title games. 1-4.
Tori, you can hit Holmes on Twitter at manhour_Combs if you are interested to go into the Twitter board with that.
1-4.
1-4.
That's all I need.
It's
the only argument I need, Sean.
The next team, Combs, is the Dallas Cowboys. So, Combs, the Dallas Cowboys seasons will be deemed a success if
they win more than one playoff game. You are extremely talented. And we talked about the Dallas Cowboys earlier. So many weapons. And I don't even believe that they can win their division. So many weapons, and I don't think that this team is a playoff team. You saw my picks earlier. Did you laugh when I put out the NFC East?
I did not. I thought they were pretty spot on.
I like the NFC East is just that division where like it's like in baseball we always look at the AL and NL Central, right? Like who's going to be the worst team to actually win a division?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we shouldn't be getting that with the Dallas Cowboys. You are so talented. You should run away with this division and not even have a worry come week 12. You should be 10-2 and sitting pretty while everybody else is sitting at 6-4 or 5-5. You know, you should be sitting in that position where nobody else is even close to you, and you could probably rest your guys every week for the rest of the season if you needed to get people healthy. That's how talented this team is. But they're going to struggle, and they're going to have to fight and claw and scratch their way to get into a playoff spot. And that, like we talked about it, it's Mike McCarthy. It's a coaching problem in Dallas. This isn't a talent problem. You got all the talent in the world. You've got guys on any other team. If this team was coached by Bill Belichick, if this was a New England Patriots team, we'd be wondering whether or not they were going to go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl again.
They'll probably be a losing team. Let's just be honest.
But it's the Dallas Cowboys and it's Mike McCarthy, and we're wondering if they can even beat out the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders to win the division.
Both not terrible teams. With the the Commanders do have a pretty good defense.
They're not as talented as the Dallas Cowboys are.
You're right, exactly right. But games is not one on paper; it's one on the field. But
right,
if the Dallas Cowboys have their season to be deemed a success, Combs, you nailed it, spot on here. They have to win more than one playoff game this season, and if they don't, Mike McCarthy is out. There should be no reason why. What for the last 5 or 6 years since Dak has been at the helm? Excuse me. We are talking about the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl, and they're not even winning playoff games. I mean, Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy, like something's got to give.
Get yourself a drink. Get your voice back. The Dallas Cowboys in an NFC where I mean we're talking about what maybe. Let's say the Rams are a heavy favorite in the NFC again. Let's say the Arizona Cardinals are probably a favorite to do some damage and can potentially be a top team in the NFC again. And let's say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? You should be in that conversation. You should be in that conversation of, is this team going to be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl? And they're not. Outside of Dallas and outside of ESPN, because they love to talk about the Dallas Cowboys because it makes them money, nobody believes in this team. Nobody is saying, oh, you know what? I got my money on the Dallas Cowboys.
I do.
Nobody. Because the Dallas Cowboys are not – they're just not that team. And again, we go to the coaching staff. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, are – I don't even want to say the Buffalo Bills of the 90s, right? Because the Buffalo Bills of the 90s at least went to Super Bowl. No, the Buffalo Bills went to Super Bowls. The Dallas Cowboys don't even do that. The Dallas Cowboys, they get to the playoffs, and that's good enough, and then they get bounced by a team that they shouldn't get bounced by.
I have a very talented high school team, right? But we are very, 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 very young. So we are kind of on the mindset, like on the path where like you have to learn how to lose, like you have to lose to learn how to win, right? Just so you can get that bitter taste in your mouth. You're like, I want this, right? And it kind of seems like that has kind of been the Dallas Cowboys MO for the last 5-6 years. Like, just like, hey, like we need to lose so we can get that bitter taste in our mouth and we can win. At what point does that bitter taste become actual bitter? Because right now it seems like they're just satisfied with that sweet nectar in their mouth, and it's just stupid. Like they have to win this year, right? Like
we all know Cowboys fans are always bitter. I mean, we can call our boy up if you want. You want to call up LeBlanc? We can listen to some bitter.
Yeah,
we can listen to some bitter because that like Cowboys fans are always bitter, right? Like you see the Facebook memes, right?
Alabama fan.
In this next week, here's what you're going to get to see on TV, and you got 4 pictures of Cowboys fans crying because that's what you're going to see. The Cowboys, they just find a way. They find a way to make Stephen A laugh and do that stupid cowboy voice on ESPN every Monday, because the Cowboys should be better than what they are. They're just not.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, because speaking of teams that should be better than what they are, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. They have stumbled the last couple seasons in the postseason. So, Combs, the Arizona Cardinals, they will have a successful season. Their season will be deemed a success if this.
NFC title game. They've got to make it to the NFC title game. They've got to push back. They've got to be better than either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Los Angeles Rams or the Minnesota Vikings even, right? Because the Minnesota Vikings, I think, are going to be really good. I think they're going to be one of those teams where nobody's going to see them coming this year. And so they've got to be better than those squads. And they've got to make the NFC title game. I mean, this team should be a 1, 2, or 3 seed in this conference, and they should absolutely win a home game, win another home game, and be in the NFC title game.
I mean, they should, but it's been proved in year in, year out. About week 10, week 11, when COD comes out, Mr. Kyler Murray's play goes like this, and the Arizona Cardinals play goes like this. Combs, mark it down. I did the research, but like I first saw that video, I'm like, there's no freaking way. I'd done the research. When Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out, Kyler Murray's play went like this. When the next Call of Duty went down, his play went like this: downhill, downhill, downhill. So for the Arizona Cardinals season to be deemed a success, they have to win on the back end of the season. I don't want to see 10-0 and 11-0 and then finish out the season 5-6, right? Like, or 5 losses to like out of your 6 games. I don't want to see that. I want to see you guys get hot at the right time. I want to see 5 of the last 6 games as wins, not at losses. Like, you have to win in December, January, and February for this team, for the season to be deemed a success. And to really have a truly successful season, Combs, you have to prove me wrong. You have to prove that I have been wrong. Last year I said the Arizona cracks are showing. The very next week, Combs, they lost to the Green Bay Packers. They didn't get lost. They got their asses whooped by the Green Bay Packers. You can throw up all the injuries that you want, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, everybody deals with injuries. The very next week, they got walked again. I said, guys, look, the cracks are showing. Kyler Murray isn't very good. The Arizona Cardinals are not very that good. And I got blasted by you and Soup Boss and all of YouTube community saying I'm stupid, I'm just a hater. I mean, first round loss. Started the season 11-0, finished 11-7 or whatever the hell it was.
Of all,
and yeah, Buck's right.
they started out the season 7-0.
Whatever.
Then they were 7-1, and they did not get their asses whooped. They lost by a field goal to the Green Bay Packers.
They got their asses whooped.
Then they beat San Francisco the next week in San Francisco.
A team that had 57 injuries that year too. Let's not forget about that. Come on.
They did go on a losing streak at the end of the season. They lost to the Rams, who are the Super Bowl champions.
Because they
did lose to Detroit, a team that they should have won. They did lose to Indianapolis. They beat Dallas in Dallas. And then they lost on the final game of the season when they were resting everybody because their seeding didn't matter. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. What happened the first round of the playoffs? I'm just asking for
they beat Dallas 19-16.
Okay.
Then they lost to Kansas City in the second round of the playoffs.
They did not lose to Kansas City in the second round of the playoffs.
Oh, wait. No, you know what? You're right. You're right. I'm looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah.
They lost the first round game to the Rams. Yeah, they got toasted by the Rams. But look, the Rams were the Super Bowl champions. The Rams, This was their third time seeing them this year. The Rams are a really good squad. I mean, probably the best squad in the NFC. The measuring stick in the NFC.
Home, though, right?
Was it at home?
It was at home. They were like
it was at LA.
No, it wasn't.
It was at LA.
LA played every real game. No, was it?
I'm looking at it right now. It was at LA.
Okay, you could be wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm just messing with you.
But
I don't remember.
you're on this kick that it's the same thing. Like, you can't talk to you about Lamar or Baltimore being good because you think Lamar is trash and blah 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 blah. You're the same way with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are, I would say right now, I would put them third. I would put them in my power rankings in the NFC alone.
What?
I put them third in the NFC.
Say that for me one more time, because I don't think
The Arizona Cardinals are the third best team in the NFC.
Third best team in the NFC. Are you
behind
drunk?
the Rams and behind Tampa Bay?
Are you drunk?
Who's better than them?
Vikings? Cowboys? Bucks?
The Vikings are close.
49ers?
The Cowboys are not better than the Arizona Cardinals.
With Jimmy G, they are.
As a whole, they're not better than
Cowboys are better than them. The Eagles are better than them. Hell, you could probably put the Packers better than them.
Cardinals. Stop it.
The Lions are better than them. They're not even top 10.
God. You're past your bedtime. You need to go to bed.
It is what it is, Combs, because you have to realize that Hopkins is out for 6 or 7 games, right? That's going to hurt them a lot. Rondell Moore is going to have to step up. A second-year player, I think he had 70 catches last season.
Didn't they play 8 games without him last year?
DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah.
I believe it was
when he went down was their first loss.
Yeah.
When he went down was their first loss.
Right. What does that tell you? Without DeAndre Hopkins, they're going to go 0-7. It's math. It's science. Geometry.
I can't. Would you hurry? We got Thursday night football coming up. Let's move on.
Let's do our game picks, Combsy. Week 1 game picks. Are you ready? Rapid fire. Give me a win or loss. Thursday night game. Buffalo Bills at the Rams. Who do you got?
I am going to take the Rams in this one. I actually think Buffalo might start out 0-2 and people are going to panic before they start running the table. But I'm going to take the Rams in this one. Rams are at home, defending Super Bowl champs. Going to have the banner raising ceremony, everything else that comes along with defending Super Bowl champs hosting at home. Give me the Rams in this one, in a close one. It's going to be a really fun Thursday night game.
For everything that you said, I'm taking the Bills because all the emotion, all the rings, and all the tears, and all the excitement that goes around winning a Super Bowl, there's usually a letdown week 1, and the Buffalo Bills are hungry. Give me the Bills.
Okay.
Next game, Saints at Falcons.
Give me the Saints. Falcons are bad.
Saints as well. I'm 100%. 49ers traveling to Chicago.
Give me the Bears in the upset, baby. The Bears are going to win this one. Trey Lance is going to not have a very good game in Chicago. Give me the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, give me the Bears as well. I think Trey Lance is just going to do bad. And the Bears defense, linebacker name Roquan Smith, he's going to be pissed. Pay that man. Steelers travel to Cincinnati. What do you got?
Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. They are just too good. Defending AFC champs at home against Pittsburgh and against Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky has a good game, but ultimately Cincinnati is better, and the Cincinnati defense makes a really good stop to finish it.
They are not too good. They are just above average. They're another 10-7 season this year, but the Bengals do win this game as well. I got that one. Eagles travel to Detroit, take on the Lions. Who do you got?
Give me the Eagles. Eagles are really good. Detroit is really not. Give me the Eagles.
Give me the Lions at home. Ford Field is definitely a very tough place to play. Jared Goff has 355 yards, passing three touchdowns. New England traveling to Miami.
Give me New England. I don't like Tua. I'm not a believer in Tua. I think he's going to falter early. We're going to get to see whether or not they will have a quick hook with him this season. Give me the Patriots and Mac Jones and Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious of how the Miami is going to use Tyreek Hill, because we see that definitely Tua does have a noodle arm. But give me the Miami Dolphins. New England always plays bad in Miami for some reason.
They do.
And
I'll give you that one.
And it's hot, so it's going to be really cramping. It's going to be a big issue. Ravens take on the Jets.
I'm going to go with the Ravens here. The Jets are really bad again. And Joe Flacco's going to be worried about where his backup quarterback is at, sitting in the stands with his 38-year-old wife.
See, I was thinking about this. Joe Flacco's playing his former team for the first time ever as a starter. Are there going to be some butterflies? Are there going to be some motion? It doesn't matter. Ravens win. You're exactly right. Jacksonville Jaguars travel to Washington, D.C. to FedEx Field to take on the Commanders.
I love Travis Etienne. I think he's going to have a really good season. If you get a chance early in your draft and he's still available in like the 4th round, Travis Etienne should be your pick. But that being said, this Washington defense is so good. I'm still not a believer in their quarterback. I haven't been a believer in him since he was drafted. I said draft night, this was a horrible pick and he was highly overrated. Buck, you agreed with me. I think he's still highly overrated. This Washington defense gets it done. This is a barn burner, a 6-3 win for the Washington Commanders.
There you go, 6-3 win. Much like that Iowa score was 7-3 with South Dakota State with two safeties and a field goal.
They're still the Redskins, by the way.
But this is a measuring stick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Many people kind of have them as a sleeper playoff team. And Trevor Lawrence would have been a bust if Urban Meyer was still their coach, but he is no longer their coach. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have a chance if they leave some bounds this season, but you are correct. The Commanders' defense is way too good.
For all those people wasting their money picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to be a sleeper playoff pick, if you would like to just donate me, you could @bcombs_THI on Venmo. You can just send me the money if you're just going to waste it anyway.
There you go. Cleveland taking on the Panthers. Take American Stadium. Who do you got?
I'm going to take Carolina in this one. Cleveland without Deshaun Watson is really going to struggle through the first 11 weeks, and Baker Mayfield gets his chance to have revenge, and I think he's going to do everything he said he was going to do or didn't say he was going to do. Whatever. He's going to do what he was said that he said.
What he wasn't going to do?
Yeah.
Was it to fuck him up or yeah?
Yeah.
Give me the Browns in this one. The Browns defense is really, really good. The running games were really good, and I do like Jacoby Brissett. Browns beat Panthers. Colts take on the Texans.
Give me the Colts. Texans are bad. Worst team in the league.
Yeah, well, not the worst team in the league. You haven't met the Giants, but the Colts, yeah, definitely. Speaking of the Giants travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans.
King Henry gets 250 yards rushing in the opener. King Henry and the Titans over the Giants.
There is a 250-yard person, but it's Ryan Tannehill. He throws all over the field. Titans win this game. Packers travel to Skull Nation and Vikings. This would be a good game. What do you got?
Skull, baby. Skull. Green Bay is going down. Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Skull, baby.
And historically, Packers always start slow in the season. We saw a couple years ago when they got throttled by the Saints, was like 55-0, whatever it was. Give me Vikings as well. This game's very intriguing to me. Kansas City Chiefs travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals.
Yeah, look, I said it before and I'll say it again. If Arizona wants to be good, they got to start contending with top teams in the league. I don't believe Kansas City is one of those teams. I think Arizona starts to show you what I've been saying all along about Kansas City. I think Arizona wins this one by a lot.
And I think there is a team that wins a lot in this game is Kansas City Chiefs. I think the missing of DeAndre Hopkins hurts them more than they realize until now. Chiefs win by really, really big. Raiders take on the Chargers.
This is the game of the week to me. I cannot wait to watch this game. I will be at the wedding shower when the Bears are on, but we should be home by the time that this game is on. Vegas and LA is going to be. Remember a couple years ago when we were talking about the Chiefs and the Rams, and it was going to be a 53-54 game on Monday Night Football, and that's what we got.
Yep.
This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a war. These are the two best teams in this division. I'm going to go with the Chargers, but only because the Chargers are at home.
Yeah, I want to go with the Chargers at home as well, even though they really don't have much of a home field advantage anyways. But I'm taking the Chargers. I think it's going to be a little bit a lower scoring game, like 17-20. I think the defense.
These defenses are really good. I think
the defenses show out. So we were just talking about this game earlier. Bucks travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Sunday night game to wrap up a great week of football so far. Who do you got?
Dallas fans are going to start the season really upset because I think that Tom Brady is going to come in. People are doubting him. People are saying he's not interested in football. People are saying that he's got other things on his mind, maybe a divorce, maybe all this, maybe all that.
Faceless.
He's saying, look, he's just 45 and he's got shit to do. and he's going to come out and he's going to do what Tom Brady always does, and he is going to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, and I'm picking the Cowboys. Last year, it was I think it was like a 34-31 game, right? It was pretty close. No, was that last year or a couple years ago? I can't remember now. But
last year.
I'm picking the Cowboys to win this game. I think Mike McCarthy decides to run the ball a lot, keep the offense off the field for the Bucks. Monday night game. Only one Monday night game this season. Is kind of weird, but whatever. It is what it is. Denver Broncos and Russ Wilson travel to Seattle to take on his former team. Who do you got?
This is a third game in week 1 where you've got a quarterback taking on his former team.
Yep.
And I'm going to take the quarterback beating his former team again. I just think that the Denver Broncos, I don't like the pick. I don't think the Denver Broncos are going to do any damage like a lot of people are predicting them to do. But I do think they win this game because Russell Wilson is better than Geno Smith. And I think that the Denver Broncos are better than the Seattle Seahawks all the way around. I'm going to give Denver this game, and this is not even going to be a close one on Monday Night Football.
Everything you said is spot on. Denver's better than the Seahawks. Russell Wilson's better than Geno Smith. But emotions are a powerful tool, Combs. I think Russell Wilson is overtaken by his emotions the first half of the game. The Seahawks jump out early, and they hang on to a 13-10 win in this game. Give me the Seahawks.
I hope not. I like the blowouts on Monday Night Football because then I can be in bed by halftime.
I do got to go to bed at 4 a.m.
I like the blowouts. But you know, if it's a close game, I'll still watch to the end. But I want to see a blowout here. I think Denver will blow them out.
All right, guys, that is it for the Man Hour tonight. Join us next week. Join some Thursday Night Football. Hopefully, you guys started the early show tonight. Here, started an hour earlier. But Combs, send us out.
Before I do, if you're looking for a sleeper in his last-minute fantasy football leagues, or if you've got him on the waiver wire and you need to pick up a guy who is going to help your team win all season long, go get Isaiah McKenzie of the Buffalo Bills. Third wide receiver listed. He is going to have a phenomenal year with the Buffalo Bills. Go get Isaiah McKenzie. Man Hour Nation, rise up.